Look, Spencer's in a new room. Isn't that crazy? Look at this. Woo. So you might be confused right now, and you might be thinking, Spencer, where's the No Way Home review? Is this the No Way Home review? And I'm here to answer, no. No, it's not. My No Way Home review is currently on my laptop, which is broken. And it's half edited on my laptop, and I couldn't get the video off the laptop onto another one, so it's on a broken laptop that I have to get fixed, so I can't finish the edit, so it's not gonna come out for a while. At least until that laptop gets fixed. So I thought, in the meantime, why don't I just take an old laptop that doesn't really belong to me, and, review a show that I completely forgot to review. This show finished last month, and I kind of forgot that I should have reviewed it because it kind of fell by the wayside because all the No Way Home stuff basically buried it, and I kind of forgot about it. I did like the show, though. It's a good show, and I wanted to review it, so here it is. This is the Hawkeye review, baby. Yes, Hawkeye TV series review. Let's just get into it right now. Okay, go. For real, go. Review the show, Spencer.
I actually liked Hawkeye. A lot. I was kind of surprised that I liked it as much as I did, because I was expecting to get kind of like an average MCU show, kind of like what Falcon and the Winter Soldier was. But you know what? I actually thought this show was really good. So right now you're probably wondering, Spencer, besides the fact that you simp so hard for Haley Steinfeld, why'd you like the show so much? Well, I think a lot of it has to do with its story. You see, Hawkeye adapts a lot of the Matt Fraction comics that are probably the best Hawkeye comics ever, and the show adapts them very well. One thing you have to remember when you're adapting a Marvel comic for the MCU is that when you're doing a show or movie, you still have to abide by the status quo of the MCU, which means you have to consider where these characters were before the events of this show or this movie. And Hawkeye perfectly balances this thing of continuing Clint's story while also setting up new and interesting stories that he can still go on. For example, this show brings in new and interesting characters from the comics into the MCU, like Kate Bishop, who is played by... Oh boy.
She's so fine, she done pissing me off! How are you that fine,
Anyways, Kate Bishop is a character that I really liked from the comics, and I think the way that they adapted her into the MCU was really cool. Honestly, her reason for becoming an archer in this show makes a lot of sense. When she was a child, aliens attacked New York, back in the first Avengers. Throughout all the destruction and all the weirdness in this event, she saw Hawkeye, who was just a regular dude with a bow and arrow, fighting back against these aliens, and had a realization. You don't need powers to be a hero. I just thought that her introduction into the universe and her reasoning for being obsessed with Hawkeye was written really well. Also, the dynamic between Kate and Clint was just really great too. I like that Hawkeye is now just an older hero who kinda has already been through enough and had enough of this shit, honestly, and Kate is just basically used as his complete opposite. She is someone who is enamored with the thought of helping people and being a hero, whereas Clint still wants to be a hero, but he's fucking fought a purple alien, and by this point he thinks, I've had enough of this shit. I also think that Kate and Clint get really good arcs in this show as well. Clint has to learn throughout the show that what happened to Natasha was not his fault. He has to learn to forgive himself for what happened in Endgame. In every scenario, Natasha was going to beat him off that cliff and sacrifice herself. She has always been a better fighter than him, and the fight between Clint and Yelena near the end of the series is just a reminder of how skilled Natasha was. He learns to forgive himself for everything that happened and all the things that he did as Ronin, and for what happened with Natasha, of course. It's just a really good arc for him to go on. Kate Bishop probably has the best arc out of every character in this show. She has to learn from Clint how to be a superhero when you have no powers. She has to realize that the Avengers aren't always going to team up whenever there's a problem. Kate has to learn to handle things on her own. And Clint, being the only Avenger left who really doesn't have any powers, is kind of the perfect person to be her mentor. So yeah, I think that the thing I liked the most about this show was the story that they were telling. We got introductions for some really interesting characters like Kate Bishop, and a reintroduction of characters like Yelena, and oh yeah, fucking Kingpin. Guys, Kingpin is back. It was so damn cool to see Vincent D'Onofrio back as Kingpin. He is just, he is godly in this role. I know some people had a problem with how they brought back his character and how he was written in the show, but I was personally just happy to see him back, and I can't wait to see what they do with his character next. Yeah, so I thought the show just had a really good story that I thought needed to be told to kind of continue the arc that Hawkeye was put on after Endgame. But I think there's more that I liked about it than just the story. Like, for instance, I think some of the direction in the series is pretty good. Some of the shots in the show are really cool. Like the one where he does that car chase, and it's in the 3rd episode, and oh my, I can't explain it, but I'll try to put it up. It's so good. It's such a good shot action scene. It's so great. As far as lighting and color grading goes, though, I think that this is honestly one of the blander looking Marvel TV shows. I like when Marvel does something colorful. I mean, I didn't really like Falcon and the Winter Soldier that much, but that show looks so goddamn good, and it's so colorful, and I think that comic book shows and movies should try to be less gray and more colorful, like the comics that they're adapted from. Unfortunately, I think that Hawkeye tends to lean in the direction of being more gray, and I just don't vibe with that sometimes, you know? But I will admit that I really like some of the shots and some of the direction that this show brought. Oh my god, there's something that I forgot to mention that is so bad in the show, and I just have to talk about it right now. Some of the editing in this show is just laughably bad. There's one fight scene that I'll put up here if I can and explain myself, but you see how bad this looks? It's just really badly edited. I think a big problem for Marvel right now is that they're trying to rush things out now because of the pandemic, and it's affecting how their shows and movies look sometimes. As far as Hawkeye goes, there were only like a few moments like this, and they weren't really that bad. One thing that I did notice with Hawkeye is that it also continues the big problem that almost every MCU Disney Plus show has. The problem is that they always tend to rush to the end. Now, this is not so much the case with Loki, but more with like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Those shows had finales that felt like they were rushing towards the end of the story, leaving some of the character stories feeling unfinished. In the case of Hawkeye, I do think that most of the characters have good endings that don't feel rushed, like Kate and Clint for instance. But other characters like Yelena don't feel like they get a good ending. I guess with the MCU, sometimes we don't get the right endings for characters because most of the time, their stories keep going in other shows and movies. I guess my whole point here is that these shows are always trying to set up new shows instead of prioritizing the ending of the show that they are currently making. Holy shit, I hope that sentence made any sense whatsoever. So yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed Hawkeye. Thought it was a really good show, and it was a lot of fun. So I have decided to give Hawkeye an 8 out of 10. It has a great story that develops characters new and old in really interesting ways. And although the show can look a little bland at times, I do think that the director, Rhys Thomas, and the cinematographer, Eric Steelberg and James Whittaker, did do some interesting things with the camera that I really like. So yeah, it was a good show, good fun. I liked it.
Yeah, so that was the Hawkeye review. I really think that everyone should try to watch this. If you haven't watched it, give it a look, because this might be a hot take, but it's better than WandaVision. Yeah, you heard me right. Like I said, hope you enjoyed the review. I'm gonna try to get the No Way Home review out as fast as I can, but I have to get my laptop fixed, like I said, so that might not come out till like next month. Like, who knows, honestly. It's a long review that I did for that movie, so it could take me, like, I don't know, dude. I really don't know, because I have school, and I wanted to do this too, so it depends on if I can even balance school and editing. It really depends on that. So yeah, like and subscribe, all of that. And remember, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay sexy. Okay. Bye.